Move, dog. You're blocking my door. You're blocking my door.
Your door. Check in first. Gym policy.
Connor Briggs smiled.
Gym policy. Cute.
The way people smile at something beneath them.
You know who I am? Or they don't let you watch TV where you're from? I know who you are.
Don't care. Check in.
Say that again.
Check in.
Briggs shoved his chest. The gym went silent.
You want to talk tough? Cage. Now. I'll go easy. Wouldn't want to hurt the hired help.
Tyler looked at the hand on his chest, then up.
20 seconds.
What?
That's all I need.
Briggs had no idea. He just bet his undefeated streak on the wrong man. But let's rewind, because 20 seconds doesn't happen by accident. 6 hours before Connor Briggs walked through that door, Tyler Shaw was sitting in a parking lot in a 10-year-old Honda Civic, eating a gas station sandwich and listening to the rain hit the windshield. That was his life, had been for 14 months. Wake up at noon, eat something cheap, drive to Iron Forge MMA by 5. Stand at the door until 2 in the morning. Drive home, sleep, repeat. He didn't complain, didn't call in sick, didn't ask for overtime or holidays off. When the gym flooded during a storm in March, Tyler was the one who showed up 3 hours early with a mop and a bucket and didn't say a word about it. When a drunk wandered in at midnight looking for trouble, Tyler walked him outside by the elbow so gently, the man thanked him on the way out. No wife, no kids, no social media. A studio apartment on the east side of Austin with a mattress on the floor, a pull-up bar bolted to the bathroom door frame, and a shoebox under the bed he never opened. That was it. That was everything Tyler Shaw owned in the world. The guys at the gym didn't know much about him. They knew he was quiet. They knew he was big. The kind of big that made people cross the street without thinking about it. 240 pounds of something they couldn't quite name. They knew he never missed a shift, and they knew he watched the fighters. Not the way fans watch, not the way beginners watch. The way a man watches something he used to be. Coach Danny Wells noticed it first. Danny had been training fighters for 22 years in this same building, on these same mats. He'd seen enough to know the difference between a spectator and a soldier. The way Tyler stood, weight centered, hands loose but ready, chin slightly tucked like a habit carved into bone. The way his eyes tracked combinations before the coach even called them. The way he breathed when someone threw a sloppy hook, a sharp exhale through the nose, like a reflex he couldn't kill no matter how hard he tried. One night, about 3 months in, Danny walked up to him after the last fighter left. "You trained somewhere." It wasn't a question. Tyler looked at him for a long time, rain tapping on the roof. "A long time ago." "How long?" "Long enough to know I'm done." Danny didn't push it, but from that night on, he started paying attention. He noticed the scars on Tyler's knuckles. Not bar fight scars, not street scars. The kind that come from 10,000 repetitions on a heavy bag without wraps. He noticed the way Tyler's shoulders moved when he stretched before a shift. Rotator cuff damage, left side, surgical scar barely visible under the uniform sleeve. He noticed how Tyler's feet never crossed when he walked the perimeter. A fighter's footwork. Unconscious. Permanent. Whatever Tyler Shaw had been before Iron Forge, it wasn't a security guard. But Tyler never talked about it, never brought it up, never stepped on the mats, never touched the bags, never so much as shadowboxed in the parking lot. He came, he stood, he watched, he left. And that was enough. That was the deal he'd made with himself. Until Connor Briggs showed up. Briggs was 26 years old, 14 wins, 2 losses, a rising star in the regional MMA circuit, with a highlight reel full of first-round knockouts and a social media following that loved him for one reason. He talked trash like no one else. His whole brand was built on humiliation. He didn't just beat opponents, he mocked them, before, during, and after. He called out retired fighters, gym owners, random strangers on the street. Content. Always content. The camera was always rolling, and the worse he treated people, the more they watched. That Tuesday evening, Briggs pulled into the Iron Forge parking lot in a black Escalade with tinted windows. A white Range Rover followed. His cameraman, his manager, 2 training partners who laughed at everything he said. They walked in like they owned the building, and they walked right past Tyler Shaw without checking in. That's when it started. Tyler stepped in front of them before they made it past the front desk. "Gentlemen, need you to sign in." Briggs kept walking, didn't even look at him. One of the training partners, a stocky guy with a neck tattoo, waved Tyler off like he was swatting a fly. Tyler moved again, planted himself between them and the mats. "Nobody gets on the floor without signing in. Gym policy." Briggs finally stopped. He turned around slowly, looked Tyler up and down, shoes, uniform, badge, and let out a breath through his nose. "Bro, do you know who just walked into your little gym?" "I know the rules." "The rules." Briggs looked back at his crew. "He knows the rules." They laughed on cue. The cameraman adjusted his angle. Briggs pulled out his phone, held it up, started recording Tyler's face. "Yo, content alert. We got the world's most dedicated security guard right here. Won't let me in." He zoomed in on Tyler's badge. "Shaw, night security, making $12 an hour and he thinks he's the law." Tyler didn't flinch. "Sign in, or I'll have to ask you to leave." "Ask me to leave?" Briggs lowered the phone. The smile was gone now. "You're gonna ask me to leave? I bring more money to gyms like this in one post than you make in a year, and you're standing here, in your little uniform with your little badge, telling me what to do?" He stepped closer, close enough that Tyler could smell the pre-workout on his breath. "Know what I think? I think they put you at the door because that's all you're good for. Standing, watching, like a dog tied to a post. Good boy. Stay." The gym had gone quiet. 12, maybe 15 people had stopped what they were doing. Wraps half-wound, water bottles frozen mid-sip. Everyone watching. Nobody saying a word. That's how it always worked. Tyler knew it. He'd seen it his whole life. In school hallways, in mess halls, on street corners back in Baton Rouge. The room full of people who saw everything and did nothing. The ones who'd whisper about it afterward, post about it later, tell their friends they were there. Witnesses who'd tell the story, but never once stepped in when it mattered. Not once. Not when it counted. Briggs wasn't done. He walked a slow circle around Tyler. The cameraman followed. "You know what kills me? They got a guy built like a linebacker standing at the door of an MMA gym, and I bet you've never been in a fight in your life, have you?" He poked Tyler's shoulder. "Have you?" Tyler's jaw tightened. His hands, those scarred, heavy hands, curled at his sides. But he didn't move. "That's what I thought." Briggs turned to the room, raised his voice. "Anybody else think the big security guard should show us what he's got? Huh? Little exhibition match? Me versus the doorman? I'll go easy. Make it entertaining." A few nervous laughs. Someone in the back muttered something. The energy in the room shifted. Half cringe, half sick curiosity. Coach Danny Wells was standing by the heavy bags, arms crossed. He hadn't moved, but his eyes were locked on Tyler. And the look on his face wasn't worry. It was something else. It was a warning. Not for Tyler, for Briggs. But Briggs didn't see it. He was already back in Tyler's face. "So what's it gonna be, big man? You gonna stand at the door your whole life? Or you gonna step up for once?" Tyler's voice was low, steady, almost gentle. "You don't want this." "I don't want this?" Briggs laughed, loud, theatrical, for the camera. "Brother, I get paid to do this. This is what I do. What do? You stand at a door." He held up 3 fingers. 3 minutes, 1 round. I'll even let you wear headgear. Come on. Tyler looked at Danny. Danny gave the smallest shake of his head. "Don't do it." Tyler looked back at Briggs. "If I say yes, you sign in first." The gym erupted. Briggs slapped his hands together. "That's what I'm talking about. Let's go. Somebody get this man some gloves." And just like that, the trap was set. Only nobody in that room, except maybe Danny Wells, knew who was really trapped. Somebody dragged 2 folding chairs away from the cage door. Somebody else killed the music. The overhead lights buzzed louder in the silence, that flat, fluorescent hum that makes everything feel like a hospital or a police station. Tyler walked to the bench by the wall. He unclipped his badge and set it down, folded his security jacket, precise, military sharp corners, like he'd done it 10,000 times before. Pulled the earpiece out and set it on top of the jacket. Unlaced his work boots, pulled them off, set them side by side perfectly aligned. Every movement deliberate, every movement calm. Like a ritual. Briggs was already in the cage, shadowboxing, bouncing on his toes, throwing combinations at the air. Fast, crisp, the kind of speed that ended up on highlight reels. His crew was hyping him up from outside the fence. "Let's go, Connor! Light work, baby! Put this on the channel!" The cameraman found his angle, and the red light blinked on. The gym had rearranged itself. People drifted toward the cage like iron filings toward a magnet. 15, then 18, then 22 people. Some stood on benches for a better view. Someone propped open the back door, and 3 guys from the parking lot wandered in. Phones out. Every single one. This was the kind of moment that lived or died on the internet, and everyone in that room knew it. Tyler pulled his undershirt over his head. The room shifted. His body wasn't what they expected. He wasn't just big. He was carved. The kind of physique that doesn't come from a gym membership or a protein shake routine. It comes from years. From a kind of discipline most people can't imagine and wouldn't survive. Thick shoulders that rolled like machinery. A back ridged with muscle that moved like steel cable under dark skin. And scars. A long surgical line down his left shoulder, faded but deep. A cluster of small, round marks on his right rib cage that nobody asked about, but everybody noticed. Knuckles that looked like they'd been broken and reset more times than anyone wanted to count. One of the gym regulars, a young middleweight named Jordan, nudged the guy next to him. "Bro, look at his hands." Briggs noticed too. For half a second, maybe less, something flickered across his face. Not fear, not yet. But the first crack in the performance, the first whisper of a question he didn't want to ask. He buried it fast, rolled his neck, popped his gloves together. "You coming or what, big man? Don't tell me you're getting shy now." Tyler stepped into the cage, and the way he stepped in told the story before a single punch was thrown. He didn't duck through the door like a visitor. He didn't hesitate at the threshold. He walked in the way a man walks into his own house after a long time away. Chin down, shoulders set, feet already in position. Left foot forward, weight on the balls, stance slightly bladed. A southpaw base. The kind of thing only a trained eye would catch. Danny caught it. He moved to the cage door, leaned against the frame and crossed his arms. His jaw was tight. A guy next to him grabbed his sleeve. "Should we stop this?" Danny didn't look away from Tyler. "No." "No? Coach, the security guard's gonna get killed in there." Danny almost smiled. Almost. Just watch. Inside the cage, Briggs was talking. Of course he was talking. The camera was rolling, and he never missed an opportunity. All right, doorman. Here's how this goes. I'm gonna take it real easy on you, okay? No headshots. We'll keep it nice and friendly. Don't want you suing the gym or anything. He laughed at his own joke. His crew laughed with him. Tyler said nothing. He stood in the center of the cage with his hands at his sides. Not in a guard, not in any recognizable fighting stance. Just standing, breathing, slow. His eyes locked on Briggs' chest. Not his eyes, not his gloves. His chest. The way you track a man when you've been trained to read the whole body at once, when you've been taught that eyes lie, hands lie, but the torso never does. Briggs circled left, threw a lazy jab at the air between them, testing, performing. Tyler didn't flinch, didn't react, didn't move a single inch. Someone at cageside whispered, "He's gonna get destroyed." Someone else said, "Then why does the coach look like that?" The referee, one of the senior trainers who'd volunteered to keep it clean, looked at both men, touched Tyler's shoulder, touched Briggs' shoulder. "Clean sparring. Either man can stop it at any time. Touch gloves." Briggs extended his fist, grinning wide. Tyler didn't touch gloves. He just nodded. Once, the ref stepped back, and for one long, electric second, the only sound in Iron Forge MMA was the buzz of the fluorescent lights and the collective inhale of 22 people who had absolutely no idea what they were about to see. The ref's hand dropped. Briggs moved first. Of course he did. Striker, pressure fighter. 14 wins built on walking forward and making people pay for backing up. He came in with a jab, fast, sharp, textbook. The kind of punch that had put 13 men on the canvas and turned their worst night into his best content. Tyler slipped it, moved his head 2 inches to the right. That was it, 2 inches. The jab slid past his ear like wind through an open window. No drama, no panic, no wasted energy. Just geometry. Pure, clean, mathematical geometry. The kind that takes a decade to make look that simple. The kind that makes coaches stop what they're doing and stare. Briggs threw the cross, full rotation, full power, aimed at the jaw. Tyler rolled under it. Shoulder dipped, weight shifted to the back leg, and the punch sailed over him so clean it looked choreographed. But it wasn't. It was reflex, the kind that doesn't come from training camps or YouTube tutorials, the kind that gets forged in rooms with no cameras, by instructors who don't stop when you bleed. In a world where getting hit means you failed. The crowd murmured. A few people at cageside leaned forward and grabbed the chain link. Briggs reset. 3-punch combination. Jab, cross, left hook. His bread and butter. The sequence that had ended more fights than any other weapon in his career. Tyler parried the jab with his right palm. Short, sharp, dismissive. Let the cross miss by an inch, head just barely offline. And the left hook, the punch that lived on highlight reels and promo posters, the one that had knocked out 11 men in competition. Tyler caught it. Caught it with his open hand like a man catching a tennis ball at a Sunday barbecue. Calm, casual, almost bored. The gym went quiet. Not between rounds quiet. Church quiet. 22 people realizing the same thing at the same time, none of them able to say it out loud. Briggs's eyes changed. For the first time all night, they stopped performing. The grin dissolved. The character he played for cameras vanished in a single heartbeat, and what was left behind was raw. Something cold moved through his body, the ancient animal recognition that he was not the predator in this cage. He backed up, 1 step, 2. His rear foot touched the cage fence and he flinched at the contact. Tyler followed him, not chasing, walking. The same unhurried pace he used to walk the perimeter of the gym every night for 14 months. Patient, measured. But now there was something behind it, a pressure, an inevitability. Like watching a door slowly close on a room with no windows and knowing nothing in the world could stop it. Briggs jabbed again, arm punching, desperate, just to create space. Tyler parried it down with the back of his wrist without looking at it. The way you brush a fly off your sleeve at dinner. 7 seconds in. Someone's phone was shaking because the hand holding it was trembling. Briggs's own cameraman lowered his camera for half a second, then caught himself and raised it back up. The look on his face said he already knew how this ended. Briggs threw a desperate right hand, wide, loaded, everything he had behind it. The kind of punch a man throws when technique walks out and survival instinct kicks in. A Hail Mary, a prayer wrapped in a fist. Tyler saw it before it started. He'd been reading Briggs' chest the whole time. The slight rotation of the shoulder, the weight shifting back, the small dip before the explosion. The telegraph so clear it might as well have been written in neon. He level changed. A level change. Hips drop, body shoots forward for a takedown. Good wrestlers do it in half a second. Great wrestlers do it faster. The best make it look like the floor opened up and swallowed you. Tyler did it like gravity stopped working for everyone except him. Right knee kissed the mat. Left arm hooked behind Briggs' knee. Right arm drove through the hip like a hydraulic press. One explosive motion. Muscle memory so deep it was closer to breathing than thinking. And he lifted Connor Briggs clean off the ground and drove him into the canvas. The impact sounded like a car door slamming in an empty parking garage. Briggs hit flat on his back. The air left his lungs in a raw, animal grunt that echoed off every wall. Eyes wide. Not from pain, not yet. From the sudden, complete, devastating understanding that he'd made the worst mistake of his life. 8 seconds. The crowd erupted. Oh! Someone knocked a water bottle off the bench. Someone grabbed the person next to them. A woman by the door covered her mouth with both hands. But Tyler wasn't listening. He was already moving, already transitioning, already past the takedown and into the next thing. Because in Tyler Shaw's world, the takedown was never the point. The takedown was never the finish. It was just the door. What came next was the room behind it. On the ground, everything changed. Standing up, a fight is a conversation. On the mat, it's a monologue. And from the moment Briggs' back hit canvas, only one man was talking. Tyler moved into side control before Briggs could think. Left arm across the throat, right arm controlling the far hip. All 240 pounds distributed with surgical precision across Briggs's chest. Not crushing, not punishing, controlling. The way a python handles prey, not with violence, but with patience. Briggs bridged, hard, threw his hips up with everything he had, trying to create space, trying to roll. Face red, veins in his neck standing out like rope under skin. Tyler absorbed it, didn't budge, didn't shift an inch. It was like watching a man try to bench press a building. 9 seconds. Briggs tried to shrimp, hips out, create distance, get back to guard. A fundamental escape. He'd drilled it 1,000 times in training. Tyler shut it down before it started. His right knee slid in, pinning Briggs' hip to the mat like a nail through wood. Left hand adjusted grip. The control was so tight, so seamless, it didn't look like a fight anymore. It looked like a lecture. A professor showing a class how the human body works when someone else owns every single joint. 10 seconds. Tyler transitioned. Smooth. Fast. Side control to mount in one fluid motion. Knee across the stomach, hips heavy, posture tall and perfect. Full mount. The most dominant position in grappling, the position that ends careers. Briggs panicked, pushed at Tyler's chest, slapped at his arms, tried to bump, tried to trap a wrist, tried every escape he'd ever been taught in 5 years of professional training. Nothing worked. Not one thing. Tyler didn't throw a single punch. Not one. No ground and pound, no elbows, no hammer fists. He could have. From mount, he could have ended it with strikes in 3 seconds. But that wasn't what this was about. This was never about hurting Connor Briggs. It was about showing him. 12 seconds. Tyler reached for Briggs' right arm. Casual, like picking up a pen off a desk. He isolated the wrist, pulled it across Briggs' own throat, and locked his head tight against it. Arm triangle position. A choke that uses a man's own limb as the weapon. Poetic, if you knew enough to appreciate it. Briggs felt the pressure building on his neck, and his eyes went wide. Real fear now. Not camera fear, not performance fear. The kind that floods the body with adrenaline and screams one word on repeat. Survive. He fought the choke, tucked his chin hard, stripped at Tyler's hands with everything he had left. 14 seconds. Tyler felt the defense, read it the way a chess player reads a board 3 moves ahead, and switched. One fluid movement, the kind that takes years to learn and a lifetime to master. He released the arm triangle, swam his right arm under Briggs's neck, and took the back. Both heels locked inside Briggs's thighs, hooks in. He flattened Briggs, chest down on the mat, like folding a letter. Briggs' face pressed into the canvas. He could smell rubber and the dried sweat of every fighter who'd bled on these mats before him. His arms reached behind, clawing for something, anything, to grab. There was nothing there. 16 seconds. Tyler locked in the rear naked choke. Right arm under the chin, left hand clasped behind Briggs' head. The squeeze wasn't violent. It wasn't angry. It was mechanical. Precise. The kind of pressure that doesn't scream at you. It whispers. It says, "This is over, and we both know it." Briggs' face turned dark red, then purple at the edges. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. Legs kicked once, twice, then went still. 18 seconds. His right hand came up, hesitated for one terrible heartbeat, then tapped. Tap, tap, tap. Tap, 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 tap. Frantic, desperate, the universal language of surrender. Tyler released, immediately. Clean. The choke disappeared the instant the first tap registered. He unwound his hooks, placed both palms flat on the mat, and pushed himself off Briggs' body with the same quiet precision he used to fold his security jacket every night. 20 seconds. He stood up. The gym was silent. 3 full seconds of absolute, suffocating silence. The kind that rings in your ears. The kind that happens after a lightning strike, when the world has to reboot before it can keep going. Then it broke. Sound hit like a wave, screaming, shouting, hands slapping the cage fence until it rattled. Someone kicked over a trash can. Someone was repeating, "Oh my God," over and over, each time louder than the last. A woman by the back door had both hands over her mouth. Tyler stepped over Briggs' legs, walked to the bench, pulled on his undershirt, put on his security jacket, clipped his badge, inserted his earpiece. No fist raised, no flex, no look at the camera. Not a single word. He walked back to the front door and stood at his post. On the mat behind him, Connor Briggs was still on his back. Eyes on the ceiling, chest heaving. One hand pressed against his throat. His manager was kneeling beside him, saying something, but Briggs wasn't listening. He was somewhere else. The place a man goes when everything he believed about himself gets taken apart in 20 seconds by the man who guards the door. Coach Danny Wells hadn't moved, arms still crossed. He looked at Tyler standing by the entrance, earpiece in, face blank, like nothing had happened. Danny shook his head slowly, smiled. "Told you," he said to no one in particular. "Just watch." Within 60 seconds, the video was on 3 phones. Within 60 minutes, it was on every MMA forum on the internet. The caption wrote itself. Pro fighter challenges security guard to spar. Taps out in 20 seconds. By midnight, it had 400,000 views. By morning, 2.3 million. By the end of the week, it crossed 14 million. Reposted, reacted to, broken down and dissected by every combat sports channel, every podcast, and every armchair analyst with a Wi-Fi connection and an opinion. The comments section became its own war zone. "That security guard moved like a ghost. Who is this man? Bro folded a 14-2 pro fighter like laundry, in 20 seconds, with no warm-up, in his work boots. The way he just put his jacket back on and went back to the door like it was a bathroom break. Legend. Conor Briggs will never live this down, not in this lifetime." That wasn't a fight. That was a correction. "Somebody find this man. The world needs to know his name." The hashtags stacked fast. Hashtag security guard spar. Hashtag 20-second tap out. Hashtag Tyler Shaw. Hashtag doorman king. Hashtag iron forge. Hashtag never judge a book. Hashtag ghost at the door. They trended on X for 3 straight days. Fight breakdown channels posted frame-by-frame analysis. A former UFC champion reposted the clip with 3 words. "That's the real deal." A BJJ black belt called The Back Take the cleanest transition I've seen this year, professional or otherwise. A clip of the rear naked choke got turned into a meme. Briggs's frantic tapping hand edited onto everything from job resignations to breakup texts. Someone auto-tuned the "oh" from the crowd, and it got 2 million plays on TikTok by Thursday. ESPN picked it up on day 2. Security guard submits pro fighter in viral gym video, full breakdown. Fox Sports ran it that afternoon. MMA Fighting called it the most humbling 20 seconds in recent combat sports history. Ariel Helwani posted a clip with 1 line. "Someone please tell me who this man is." Briggs' social media went dark. For 48 hours, nothing. No posts, no stories, no comments, no retweets. His manager put out a 3-line statement. "Conor is taking time to reflect and will address the situation when he's ready." Which the internet immediately translated to, "He's hiding in a room somewhere trying to figure out how to still have a career." His follower count dropped by 60,000 in 2 days. Some of his own fans turned on him. "You bullied a working man and got what you deserved. Karma doesn't need a contract." The memes were merciless. A side-by-side photo went viral. Briggs arriving at the gym with his entourage on the left. Briggs lying on the mat staring at the ceiling on the right. Caption: expectations versus reality. Meanwhile, at Iron Forge, the phone didn't stop ringing. Journalists, podcast hosts, promoters looking to sign a mystery fighter, documentary filmmakers. A producer from Netflix left 3 voicemails. Everyone wanted the same thing. They wanted Tyler Shaw. Tyler didn't answer a single call, didn't respond to a single DM, didn't post, didn't give a single interview, didn't even watch the video of himself. On Wednesday morning, a reporter from MMA Fighting showed up at the gym with a camera crew and a boom mic. Tyler saw them from the parking lot, sat in his Honda Civic until they packed up and left, then walked in and clocked in for his shift like it was any other Tuesday. Marisol slid a coffee across the counter when he walked in. Black, no sugar, same as always. You know you're famous, right? Tyler took the coffee. I'm the night security, that's all. Tyler, you have 14 million views. People are making t-shirts with your face on them. Then 14 million people watched a man do something stupid. He took a sip. I'd rather they didn't. He walked to the front door, took his post. Same spot, same stance, same silence. But the world doesn't work that way. The internet doesn't let you disappear. And the question that kept appearing in every comment, every reaction video, every podcast, the question nobody could answer, was the same one Coach Danny Wells had asked in a quiet gym 14 months earlier. Who the hell is Tyler Shaw? The answer, when it finally came, was bigger than anyone expected. And it didn't come from Tyler. It came from a retired Army colonel named James Whitfield, who saw the video on his daughter's phone over breakfast on a Sunday morning and nearly dropped his coffee. "That's Ghost," he said. His daughter looked up from her cereal. "Who?" "Staff Sergeant Tyler Shaw, 3rd Battalion. We called him Ghost." Whitfield set down his mug, stared at the screen, watched the choke one more time, watched Tyler stand up, put his jacket on, and walk back to the door. "I haven't seen that man in 4 years, and he's working security at a gym." He picked up his phone and made a call. That call changed everything. Colonel James Whitfield had served 28 years in the United States Army. He'd commanded infantry battalions, deployed to 3 combat zones, trained more soldiers than he could count. And in all those years, across all those deployments, he said there was only one man who ever genuinely unnerved him in a training room. Tyler Shaw. The story came out in pieces. Whitfield gave one interview, just one, to a military podcast that had been calling him for 3 days straight. He spoke for 47 minutes without stopping. By the time he was done, the internet had its answer. And the answer was bigger than anyone had guessed. Tyler Shaw enlisted at 18. Came from nothing. A single mother in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, a shotgun house on a street where most of the kids he grew up with didn't see 25. No college fund, no connections, no safety net. No plan except to get out alive. The Army was the only door that opened for a kid with nothing on his resume except survival, so he walked through it. He didn't just survive basic training, he dominated it. Finished first in his class in physical fitness, first in hand-to-hand combat, first in every metric that measured what a human body and mind could do under maximum pressure. His drill sergeant wrote one line in his evaluation that would follow Tyler for the next 12 years. "This soldier does not quit. He does not slow down. He does not appear to have a ceiling." By year 2, he was selected for the Army Combatives Program, the military's official hand-to-hand combat system, not a martial art, a fighting system. A blend of Brazilian jiu-jitsu, freestyle wrestling, judo, and Muay Thai, designed not for trophies or sport, but for one purpose: to end threats in environments where weapons aren't an option. No points, no judges, no ref stoppage. You fight until someone can't continue. Tyler didn't just learn the system, he became the system. 3-time Army Combatives Champion, Heavyweight Division. Undefeated across 4 consecutive years of competition against the best fighters in the entire United States military. Soldiers, Marines, Special Forces operators, Army Rangers, Navy personnel. Tyler beat them all. Not with size, not with raw aggression. With technique so clean, so precise, that his instructors stopped teaching from textbooks and started using his sparring footage instead. They called him Ghost, not because he was invisible, because by the time you realized what he was doing to you, it was already done. His transitions were so fast, so fluid, so seamless, that opponents would describe the same experience over and over in their debriefs. "I was standing, and then I was tapping," and I have no idea what happened in between. One fighter compared it to falling asleep and waking up on the ground. Another said it was like being caught in a current, smooth, silent, and impossible to fight. By year 6, Tyler was pulled from regular duty and reassigned to Fort Bragg, now Fort Liberty, as a lead combatives instructor for Special Operations Units, Green Berets, Delta selection candidates, Tier 1 operators. The men who were supposed to be the most dangerous fighters on the planet came to Tyler Shaw's mat every morning to learn how to survive when everything else failed. Colonel Whitfield visited Tyler's class once, early on. Watched a 200-pound Special Forces sergeant, combat decorated, 10 years in service, a man who'd seen and done things most people couldn't imagine, step onto the mat with Tyler for a routine demonstration. It lasted about 15 seconds, Whitfield said on the podcast. His voice was steady, but there was weight behind every word. And that sergeant was one of the best grapplers I'd ever seen in uniform. Tyler put him to sleep, standing, with a guillotine choke so fast I missed it the first time watching. I had to review the footage frame by frame. He paused, let the silence sit. That's who Connor Briggs challenged to a sparring match. A man who spent 6 years teaching the most elite soldiers in the American military how to neutralize human beings with their bare hands. And Briggs poked him in the chest and called him dog. Tyler served 12 years total. 3 deployments, Afghanistan twice, Iraq once. The operational details were classified, but Whitfield confirmed that Tyler had been involved in what the military calls direct action operations, which, in plain English, means close quarters combat. The real kind. The kind where there is no referee, no tap-out, and no second chance. The kind that doesn't end up on YouTube. He was honorably discharged 4 years ago after a rotator cuff injury that required 2 surgeries and ended his ability to perform at operational capacity. The Army offered him options: a desk job at the Pentagon, a training command at Benning, a pension pathway that would have set him up for life. Tyler turned them all down. He said he was tired, Whitfield recalled quietly. Not tired of the Army. Tired of hurting people. He told me he'd spent his entire adult life learning how to take human beings apart, and he wanted to spend whatever came next being still. So he moved to Austin, got a job as a night security guard at a gym he'd never visited, stood by a door, watched young fighters train, drank black coffee at 9 o'clock every night, and said thank you the same way every time. And told no one, not a single person on this earth, who he was or what he'd done. For 14 months, Staff Sergeant Tyler Ghost Shaw was invisible, exactly the way he wanted it, until a man with cameras and a 14-win record walked through his door, called him a dog, shoved him in the chest, and told him to get in a cage. The internet had spent a week asking who Tyler Shaw was. Now they knew. And the only question left wasn't about his record, his rank, or his past. It was about what came next. Connor Briggs posted his video on a Friday morning. It was 11 days after the fight. 11 days of silence. 11 days of the internet dragging his name through every gutter it could find. His manager told him to wait it out. His publicist told him to spin it. His training partners told him to pretend it never happened. Briggs did none of those things. He sat in his apartment, alone. No crew, no ring light, no editing. Just his phone propped against a water bottle on the kitchen table and the morning light coming through a window that needed cleaning. He looked tired. Not the kind of tired you get from training. The kind you get from not sleeping for 11 days, because every time you close your eyes, you feel 240 pounds on your chest and a forearm sliding under your chin. He pressed record. "I'm not going to sit here and make excuses," he said. His voice was flat, stripped of everything the internet knew him for, the bravado, the volume, the character. I walked into that gym. I disrespected a man I didn't know. I called him names I shouldn't have called anybody. I put my hands on him. And I challenged him to a fight because I thought... He stopped, swallowed. Because I thought he was beneath me. He looked down at the table. I was wrong. About all of it. The video was 6 minutes long. In it, Briggs described what happened inside the cage from his perspective, and it was nothing like what the audience saw from the outside. The moment he slipped my first jab, I knew, Briggs said. I knew I was in trouble. Nobody moves like that by accident. Nobody. But my ego, my stupid, loud ego, wouldn't let me stop, so I kept swinging. And every time I threw something, he just handled it. Like I was a kid. Like I was nothing. He talked about the takedown. I've been taken down before, in fights, in training, by good wrestlers. This was different. I didn't feel him shoot. I just felt the ground. 1 second I'm standing, next second the ceiling's above me and all the air's gone. I've never experienced anything like that. He talked about the choke. When he took my back, I knew it was over. I've been choked before, you train through it, but his squeeze was... It wasn't angry, it wasn't fast, it was patient. Like he was giving me time to decide, tap or sleep. That was it. Those were my only 2 options, and the whole time he didn't say a word, not one word. Most guys talk when they've got you. They tell you to quit, they ask if you've had enough. Tyler didn't say anything. He just held me there, calm, like he'd done it 1,000 times before. And I realized he probably had. He paused for a long time. The camera kept rolling. I tapped, obviously. And here's the thing that bothers me the most. He let go immediately. The second I tapped, he was off me. Clean, professional. No extra squeeze, no trash talk, nothing. He just stood up and walked away, put his jacket on, went back to the door. Briggs' voice cracked, and that's when it hit me. That man showed me more respect in 20 seconds than I showed him the entire night. He could have hurt me. Bad. He chose not to. He controlled the whole thing, every second, every position, and he chose to be gentle with the guy who called him a dog. He looked directly into the camera. Tyler, if you're watching this, and I know you probably aren't because you don't seem like the type, I'm sorry. Not for losing. I deserved to lose. I'm sorry for how I talked to you, for what I said, for treating you like you were less than me because of what you wore and what you looked like. That's on me. That's all on me. He took a breath. I've been fighting my whole career to prove I'm the toughest guy in the room. And the toughest guy I've ever met was standing at the door in a security uniform, drinking black coffee, not saying a word to anybody. He reached forward and stopped the recording. The video hit 10 million views in 48 hours. The comments were different this time. No mocking, no memes. People called it the most honest apology they'd ever seen from a public figure. This is what accountability looks like. Respect to Briggs for this. This took more guts than any fight he's ever had. Tyler never responded publicly, but Marisol told Danny that the morning after Briggs' video dropped, Tyler came in for his shift, set down his coffee, and said something he'd never said before. Tell Briggs I appreciate it. That was all. 5 words, and then he walked to the door. Tyler Shaw still works at Iron Forge MMA. Same shift, same post, same black uniform with the peeling badge, same Honda Civic in the lot, same black coffee at 9. The world moved on the way it always does. Hashtags faded, memes recycled into new memes, podcasts found new stories to tell. Connor Briggs fought again 3 months later, won by decision, Quieter entrance, humbler man, and never mentioned Tyler unless someone asked. When they asked, he always said the same thing. Best lesson I ever learned. And I didn't deserve the grace he showed me. They stay in touch now. Not publicly, not on camera, a text here and there. Briggs sent Tyler a message on his birthday. Just 2 words. Thank you. Tyler replied with one. Anytime. Tyler turned down everything else. Every offer, every contract, every call from promoters, managers, podcast hosts, and Hollywood agents promising to tell his story the right way. A UFC executive flew to Austin personally, sat in the gym lobby for 2 hours, and delivered his best pitch. Tyler listened for 90 seconds. No, sir, but thank you. Walked to his post. But something did change. Something small and quiet, the way the important things usually are. 3 weeks after the video, the gym owner, a retired middleweight named Ray Caldwell, found Tyler sitting alone in the cage after closing, cross-legged, eyes closed, hands resting on his knees, just breathing. Ray stood there a while, then, "You miss it." Tyler opened his eyes. "Every day." "Then come back." "Shoulders done. I can't compete." I'm not talking about competing. Saturday mornings. Beginner self-defense. People who've never thrown a punch in their lives. Moms, kids, regular folks who just want to feel safe walking to their car at night. Tyler was quiet a long time. "I'm not a teacher." "You taught Green Berets." That was different. Was it? The first class had 9 people. A single mother with a bruise on her wrist she didn't explain, a college kid who'd been jumped twice on his walk home from work, a retired nurse who said she just wanted to stop being afraid of her own shadow, and 6 others who showed up because they figured if the security guard could do that in 20 seconds, maybe he could teach them something useful in 60 minutes. Tyler stood in front of them in the same black shirt he wore every day. No gloves, no pads, just his hands and his voice. "Lesson 1, he said. Respect your opponent. Always. Even when they don't respect you. Especially when they don't respect you. Because what you do when no one's watching, that's who you are." He taught them how to stand, how to breathe, how to fall without getting hurt, how to create distance when someone gets too close, how to stay calm when your heart is pounding and every instinct screams at you to run. Basic things. Life things. The kind of things nobody teaches you in school, but everybody needs to know. 9 became 20. 20 became 40. By month 3, there was a waiting list. Tyler still won't do interviews, still works nights, still drinks his coffee at 9. But every Saturday morning, he steps onto those mats and does the one thing he thought he'd never do again. He doesn't teach them how to fight. He teaches them how to stand up. If this story hit you the way it hit me, drop a comment. Have you ever underestimated someone and been completely, absolutely dead wrong? Tell me about it. Subscribe. Share this one. Stories like Tyler's don't come around often. When they do, they deserve to be heard.